There's a lot of deforestation because in order to make room for all the factories, we have to cut down trees. And when we cut down trees, we remove clean land that can be used for ecosystems. And we also put a lot of carbon emissions into the air, which is the main cause of global warming, which, as we know, kills everything eventually. So being vegetarian means we can produce farms that are clean for the earth, and we can still give bees a place to live. And as we know, bees are very important for the environment because they cross-pollinate and keep species of plants alive. With the less carbon emissions and whatnot.
Those chemicals go into us, and this increases chromosomes, which leads to many animals and stuff reproducing and coming out as the same sex, and then that could potentially lead at one point to no reproduction, and which kills the ecosystem. And then when the ecosystem can't grow, this causes a lack of trees and causes global warming because CO2, and could potentially lead to death. And as well as this,
Union of Concerned Scientists discovered meat eating is one of the most biggest environmental hazards facing the Earth. Globally, animal agriculture is responsible for more greenhouse gases than all the world's transportation systems combined. Raising animals for food uses up more than half of the water in the US. It takes 2,500 gallons of water just to produce 1 pound of meat, while it only takes 25 gallons of water to produce 1 pound of wheat. Producing just one hamburger uses enough fossil fuels to drive a small car 20 miles. A pig factory generates the same amount of raw waste as a city of 12,000 people. 87% of the U.S. agriculture.
Some processed meats do, which can cause deformations and abnormalities in humans and their offsprings. As over 40% of the European population are unable to digest soy, which would be a whole other problem. Let's talk about things other than soy. Another thing is, unlike cows, their stomachs aren't made to eat exclusively grass. They can also digest meat.
Large-scale farming methods. These large farms will need large amounts of synthetic fertilizer and pesticide applied to soybean fields in huge quantities, which has a huge negative impact on the environment. They release nutrients that stimulate microorganism growth, and these unnatural microorganisms make the oxygen levels in the water unbalanced, which can suffocate and kill the aquatic animals, leading to dead zones in bodies of water.
But there's always a downside. Worldwide, soy farming takes up the size of France, Belgium, Germany, and the Netherlands combined. With soy production soaring, it is one of the largest agriculture drivers for deforestation. Well, enough about the present. What about the future? Permaculture is a type of agriculture where different plants are grown together, mimicking the natural habitats of animals and insects. Bees, butterflies, and other extremely nurturing insects thrive here, making it great for the environment. Having mass farming of certain vegetables
increase, which means two things. Since soy plants don't have flowers, bees won't pollinate in soy plants. If bee population decreases, we will not live and all plants would die. This would also mean ecosystems would die. An example of this happening currently is that in China, due to soy, 80% of China's native bee population is dying. And China uses the most soy, and now they're already endangered.
Actually, cross-farming is really good for bees and helping pollinate because they can get access to many crops in a natural environment where they can cross-pollinate and increase the pollination.
Plants are cheap. They're cheaper than meat because one person can save $750 having a fully plant-based diet every year, and a whole family can save $3,000 not buying meat.
More important, pregnant women need iron, and you can compare the iron stored in meats to the iron stored in vegetables. And since pregnant people are anemic, they need iron desperately.
It's easier to get iron from plants than it is to get iron from meats like beef and whatnot. Cross-farming actually is better because in terms of a natural environment, the bees would have to go around and find the plants they're looking for. But in cross-farming, we basically just take a bunch of plants that they want.
When you guys are talking about the pregnant woman needing iron, the meat is the chemicals in the meat is bad for the baby because of all the chemicals and because of all the hormonal changes that it can cause the baby. So, yeah.
And if we're talking about human rights, then why aren't you considering culture and people's beliefs? People who believe in eating meat and stuff, they can't just leave that behind and start becoming vegetarians. They have a life behind that as well, and you can't just ignore that. Us humans are part of
For the
society.
environment, but what's stopping these farmers from using synthetic pesticides and stuff? Because I mean, not only bees, which are good for the environment, but there's also bugs that can harm the crops and vegetables. Yeah, and
Yeah. In terms of price, health, and environment, vegetarianism is much better than meat. And our closing statement is that we do not support soy. You should support.
You don't support soy, but oh wait, this isn't the problem. Okay. In conclusion, we think that being vegetarian.
No, you can eat like lentils, beans,
Exactly. I actually listened to you. In terms of irons, broccoli literally has more calcium than
And the
we can
price,
get
too.
iodine from seaweed, and we also get omega-3 from seaweed.
You and then me. What? Mo and I. Pardon? Yeah. Yeah.